Hello friends, and welcome to the Breathing Learning series. Last time we spoke about breathing support while singing. I spoke about organs that are important while singing and some performing mistakes. I also gave you a few exercises to try at home. This time we are taking another specific breathing topic or another specific breathing technique and talking a bit more about it. Without further ado, this week's topic is circular breathing. And you might be wondering, how can breathing have a shape? Well, my friends, that is not really why we call it that. Let's answer the basic question. What is circular breathing? Circular breathing is a technique wind players and sometimes singers use when they want to seem like their breath is never ending. In other words, performers use it when they need to tie over a phrase seamlessly or play for a really long amount of time on one note. This technique is usually not the composer's choice. It's most commonly the performer's choice. So, how does the technique of circular breathing actually work? Well, it might be confusing, but I'll try to explain it. When we breathe out into our instrument, we try and fill our cheeks with excess air that we are not breathing out. And by the time we have no air left in our lungs, we breathe in through our nose while pressing the excess air we filled our cheeks with out with the muscles that are there. And from my explanation, I understand that it might seem that this is a very long process, but in reality, the act of breathing in while pushing the air out happens in half a second, and it's a very swift motion. We'll try to learn it later, but the exercises are quite straightforward, so there's not many to pick from, and it's quite hard to do it the first time you try. It takes about 2 months of practice, but we'll try and we'll see where you get today. Let's talk a little bit about the history of this technique. In modern literature, the invention of circular breathing is usually attributed to saxophonists and clarinetists in the 1960s who used this technique to impress people during their performances. I even read somewhere that one saxophonist once held a note for 90 minutes using this technique. That's impressive, right? However, there are some writings that suggest that this technique was used in the ancient times for throat singing. We see evidence of this in the Americas, in Japan, northern Russia, and Mongolia, where they actually call it Tuvan throat singing. I hope I said that correctly. Today, this technique is used also for saxophonists and clarinetists. And fun fact, the didgeridoo. What we are going to do now, well, try and do, is learn how to play our instruments using circular breathing. But first, let's remember what we talked about before in my previous videos, as it is very important to this technique. How we breathe is we sit up or stand up with our back straight and our shoulders relaxed. We want to be as least tense as possible. We engage our abdominal muscles as it helps us control our diaphragm, and we breathe in to our lungs from the bottom up and breathe out with the same principle from the bottom up. Let's keep this in mind while we try to learn circular breathing. The first step in learning how to breathe in this manner is establishing our mouth air and our breathing, or rather distinguishing them. So what we are going to do is fill our cheeks with air and just breathe through our nose. Breathe in slowly and breathe out just as slowly. I'll do it with you. Let's do it. Good. The second step to this is trying to inhale while we actually press the air out of our cheeks. But we're not gonna do it like the pros do. We're not gonna do it with the muscles of our cheeks. First thing we're gonna do is just press the air out of the cheeks with our hands. So no breathing in, just press it out, and then after we do that, we'll move on. I'll do it with you. Look. I know it looks funny, but it actually helps us learn this technique. What we're going to do now is try and inhale through our nose while we're pressing the air out of our cheeks. But don't try and press it out of your lungs, because that will not work. It will just be using your breathing airways. So just fill up your cheeks, and while you're pressing it, try and inhale. Again, I'll do it with you. Let's do it together. Something like that. The third and final step to this is just doing the technique. Pushing the air out of your cheeks while breathing in. But remember what I said, it's a very swift motion, maybe half a second or so. We can do it together, but don't be surprised if you don't manage it. Some people practice for months until they get this technique right. Don't be discouraged, just keep practicing and it'll happen, I promise. I'll try together with you though. Let's do it. See, I didn't even manage it. I still need to practice too. Here are a couple of exercises you can do in order to get used to this technique. In this first one, we need a glass and a straw. We fill the glass halfway up with water and maybe even less, and we take a plastic straw. What I have here is a glass straw, but it's better if you take a plastic straw because when you pinch it and blow into it, the resistance your air is met with mimics the resistance your air is met with when you're playing an instrument that needs a reed. The aim of this exercise is to try and have a continuous stream of air making the bubbles in a cup while we do the technique. Basically, it just mimics the playing but with water and air. I'll do it with you, but it's okay if you can't do it. Just keep practicing. Here. I need to keep practicing too. The second exercise we do is quite unusual. You need a sink for it. A bathtub will work too. What we try and do is fill our cheeks with water and spit it out. We basically want to have a continuous stream of water coming through our lips while we breathe in and out through our nose. And it's quite unusual, I know, but it's easier than the first exercise we did, in my opinion. I won't be demonstrating it though, because, well, I don't have a sink in my room right now. You can try it after this video though. Okay friends, we've come to the end of yet another video. I'll see you next time, but until then, keep practicing.